Once again, welcome to the war room. We have just emerged victorious, although barely, from the first crusade against us, which was declared by France, and we are still in a bit of debt because of all the loans that we had to take in order to finance our huge mercenary armies, but we are getting quite a bit of war reps from France, which is probably making this somewhat easier on our economy. And I think overall, we probably emerged slightly better off economically compared to before the war, but of course, it did take a pretty large toll on us. Now, for this episode, I was thinking that we would focus on exploration and we would start focusing on colonization because we already have quite a bit of exploration going on here, and we have a small but still significant colonial empire. So we are expanding into the western coast of Africa here, and I'm also thinking about expanding into South Africa. We already have a few colonial charters ready. As they come to bear fruit, I'm going to release them as a colonial nation, and presumably there is going to be a market center somewhere around here that's going to be formed. Now, unfortunately, due to the French aggression against us, which honestly makes no sense. Just look at this. They have no desire to conquer our lands. They're just in it for the fun of the game. So they just declare a crusade just because they could and not because of any other reason. So it's going to be fairly difficult to get France off our backs at this point. I mean, we are not even in the time period of the Crusades. It takes passing a special papal bull to declare a crusade, as far as I'm aware. So, as long as France remains a threat on our northern border, I seriously doubt that we will be able to colonize in peace. And for that reason, we are going to dismantle France. And how are we going to do that? Obviously, we have our vassal, the Duchy of Brittany here. We have our vassal, the County of Toulouse over here. And we are going to attack France at the next opportunity. And we're going to feed all the French lands around here and around here to our vassals. And then slowly we're going to dismantle France and shift the focus of our vassal empire from Iberia to mainland France until France is no longer a threat for us. So I'm going to have to change some of our tech choices here. Gosh. These are all such good choices here though, like, okay, you know what? I'm still going to get, like, these three. And then the colonial policy is also probably nice. And these are all really nice. Oh, I can't decide. Okay, yeah. Honestly, we just need to take a single or maybe a couple researchers here. Specifically, yes. I'm going to take the mercenary recruitment here. And after we've taken that, we can return to technologies in the age of discovery. I believe there are some other mercenary related techs here, but I think they're locked behind pike and shot. Where were these? I'm going to Mutawiya armies, yes. So this is actually unique to Granada, which gives us a minus 10% both to premium cost, so the recruitment cost for the mercenaries, and to mercenary maintenance. And it's locked under the right hand side of the pike and shot tree, which, well, it does include some of the other stuff that we want, like the naval stuff that we want, and the buildings over here in this side, and this eventually leads to possible government reforms and possible number of local governors as well. So we definitely want to go down this side of the tree And what I'm doing here is, normally we would be getting the New World advances first, and then going for pike and shot. But since France is such a big threat to us, we will have to take the pike and shot advances first. And for that, I'm also going to take a look at the institutions map mode here. Lovely. So Northern Italy already has pike and shot, which is a surprise because most of these guys apparently have land so that they could potentially spawn it. And, oh, would you look at that? Alright, we are actually getting a decent bit of spread towards pike and shot ourselves. I didn't realize that. So we should be able to unlock it, like, fairly soon. It's spread to... No, it's not spread to Lisbon yet, but it will spread pretty soon. And it's spreading all across the Ishbiliya market over here. So I think as soon as our capital, no, or former capital, has it, we should be pretty fine, yeah. May 1456, okay. So that's not early enough for us to be able to embrace it before the next war against France. But we'll see. I mean, most likely, simply getting this advance over here will be more than enough. And then we can go back to going down the New World tree. And that should give us enough of a boost and enough of a discount to mercenary armies that we can hire an obscene amount of mercenaries for the next war with France. However, I am still going to keep exploring around a bit. Like, I'm not going to explore everything here, because normally the way I would go about this is I would explore in various directions. So I would explore through the north, through the center, and through the south, and get to, say, Brazil, the eastern coast, Quebec at around the same time. Instead, what we're going to do is we're just going to we're going to pick one corridor. Let's say the middle corridor here is probably the best because it will land us somewhere in the Caribbean, which is the best New World area in terms of RGOs, and you want to colonize it as soon as possible. So we're just going to do our exploration missions in a bit more focused manner, let us say. But anyways, not much is going to happen here. I am annexing the last remaining Portuguese vassal here, and at the same time I think I'm going to start annexing some of these over here as well. Like, maybe we want to get up to Toledo, or maybe it would be even better if we say, okay, so we don't have a lot of proximity left over here, but Cartagena over here has 100 natural harbor suitability for some reason, and that means we can use this in order to get naval proximity here and then hop through into this general area over here. And we should be getting another local governor fairly soon, like in the next 20 years, which I'm probably going to place around either Tortosa or maybe in Valencia, Barcelona, somewhere like in the eastern portions here. So I'm probably going to ignore this area for a while, and another reason for that is there is still a large Castilian presence here. Like, we haven't converted most of our vassals in this area to Andalusi culture yet. We haven't enforced culture yet because they were getting pretty disloyal. So I'm going to first enforce culture en masse to our vassals here. And then, after they have managed to convert this, assimilate this into Andalusi culture, then I will start annexing them. But for now, our route of annexation is going to be finish Portugal up, take these lands over here, and then go east through Valencia and Catalonia, and possibly also annex Oran and Dahra. I'm not going further into North Africa, and the reason for that is there is going to be an insane number of tribesmen. Oh, interesting. So our vassals actually did a nice job of making the tribesmen settle down. I honestly did not expect that. I expected that we would be seeing like still hundreds of thousands of tribesmen over here, but looks like there are only something like 40,000 left in the west and 30,000 left in the east. So, you know, this is actually fairly okay value land. And anyways, I'm going to let the game flow for a while. We will also use our spy network in Ormus in order to get some maps of India. Another war crime that you can potentially commit in EU5 is if you have a mercenary army and you're done with your current war, so you don't need to use them in combat anymore, but you can't get rid of them because obviously their contract isn't up yet, what you can do is you can order them to full retreat, and that's going to take off 10% of their manpower. And if these guys are coming from a location that is owned by your enemies, like if you go to our Mercs tab over here, for example, I believe these are probably from France, and these are probably from either Tripoli or possibly the Mamluks, Egypt. So we are killing off our enemies' pops, especially with these guys. So France is essentially suffering a population decline because we are making their pops retreat, and we are killing off 10% of the mercenary strength here each time that we order them to full retreat. And sometimes, if you have, say, insane amounts of money, you can hire a lot of mercenaries and then you can keep killing them off. And basically, you can depopulate the lands of your enemies through this interaction. Our explorers have returned from the uncharted waters, and they have brought sight of land with them. So we are so close to discovering the new world right now. It just needs a couple more explorations here. I just need to get the Caribbean coast here, and then Cuba will probably be our first stop, or maybe the Lesser Antilles. So, oops, I just hate it when I misclick on the market here. I'm going to go ahead with, say, this guy. Military is the most important skill in an explorer usually because it directly increases your exploration speed, which is pretty useful. I believe admin reduces the exploration cost over here, and the diplomacy reduces the preparation time for the exploration, which is usually much more minor, much shorter compared to the actual exploration duration. So generally you want to go for military if you want a shorter exploration, which incidentally means also uh, less cost that you pay over the course of the expedition. But if you have someone with, like, say, 100 admin, you might also want to put them at the head of the expedition as well. But usually, mill is the way to go. And there we have it. I've enforced culture on our last remaining vassals, and now all of our vassals' lands are ruled by nations with an Andalusi primary culture. Now, this does not mean that we are done with culture converting them. In fact, there's a lot of work that needs to be done converting the Astur Leonese, the Catalans, even the Basques, and of course the dastardly Castilians. But at least in theory, we have reached a cultural equilibrium. And from this point on, assimilating the rest of Iberia should be relatively easy. So I expect that Andalusi will be the dominant culture everywhere, except maybe northern Leon. Since Leon has so many states, they will take a long time to actually assimilate some of their newer conquests. And I guess we'll see that in maybe as short as 20 years, because we have so many one province vassals, and they are really effective at both converting their land. I mean, you can see the map here, right? and also at assimilating culture once they're done with the conversions. So we are done with the mercenary advance here, and I'm going to pick up a couple of military advances. I'm definitely going to take army morale here, and we have a unique advance, if I can find it, yes, for plus 10% army movement speed as well. This is unique to Granada, and it also unlocks the drill army ability here, which we're probably not going to use all that much, but it's still good to have. And I'm actually on the fence. Oh, also, but this is only 1%. Anyways, it's good to have extra army morale recovery. It's always a welcome change. So I'm on the fence regarding the peasant levy, because we are going to unlock probably a better levy here. There we go, matchlock levy. Peasants, laborers, soldiers, and burghers. Interesting. So we'll probably unlock this after getting the right side of the pike and shot tree. And in all honesty, our levies are just there to serve as cannon fodder. Our real military strength is coming from the mercenaries. So I'm going to skip the levy for the previous stage just for now. And after these are done, we're going to queue up some colonial advances as well. We've queued up our advances for the next few years. The idea here is we'll get the military stuff first. Assuming we have not unlocked pike and shot after we are here, we will also go for the colonial advances. So get the create colonial charter cost, monthly colonial migration, colonial maintenance, a bit of exploration here, and some policies. So you definitely don't want to sleep on the colonial policy here. And we are not Portuguese or Castilian, so we don't get access to these really nice unique policies here. But settled colonies still gives you double the monthly colonial migration and minus 10% maintenance and plus 0.05 monthly progress to outward. Now, colonial maintenance is, I believe, additive with the extra number of colonies, the number of unsupported colonies modifiers. So this isn't actually a 10% decrease. It's much more minor compared to what you would get with a flat multiplicative 10% decrease, but every little bit helps, especially since we have 155 ducats of colonial maintenance here. We are overextending ourselves a bit on purpose, a bit because I really was planning on playing a full colonial game before the French intervened, but we are mostly going to focus on colonies as soon as France is no longer a threat, and I'm going to automate the taxes over here. And then we have mostly maritime presence buffs. Coast proximity with maritime presence is the important thing here. Maritime presence plus 10%, that's a straight up boost. We also get some more colonial and exploration boosts from the text down on that side of the tree. The native policy is nice to have, it's not super important. And boost colonial charter is one of the best cabinet actions that you can have, along with develop province. So develop province straight up allows you to build tall and get huge bonuses from high development in your most important cities, but boost colonial charter just turbocharges your colonies. I mean, in the time that it takes one colony to grow to full size, I was able to grow maybe 3-4 colonies to completion simply by using the boost colonial charter action. And it also allows you to essentially transfer population out of regions where maybe you don't want to have too much population. Maybe they're overcrowded, maybe they have a low proximity so that you don't want them to be overly populated or overly wealthy. You can just send all of those people in those sub optimal areas to the colonies and just get insane speed on your colonization using that cabinet action here. And we also have some other stuff here like proximity cost true port. Lovely, this is one of the best bonuses you can have to simply your proximity game in the naval aspects of the game. Maritime presence decay. This straight up allows you to have fewer ships running maritime presence while still maintaining 100% in all the locations that you care about. And then those are going to be the major ones. And I presume that halfway through this list, we will unlock the pike and shot institution here, and we will start going down this side of the tree. But until then, think of this like our long-term plan. This is what we would be researching if France did not decide to declare war on us. We have a next Murcia, and I'm going to take this opportunity to make Cartagena al-Halfa a town simply because it has 100% natural harbor suitability. So by making this a town, we will be able to build up wharves, docks, all of the good buildings that give you extra harbor capacity, and that means that we can get a naval proximity from our capital to this location, and from there on exert extra proximity and control into the Murcia area, and later on maybe even over here to Valencia. And it's not ideal having two different towns in the same province, but I think we can manage. And if this wasn't as well developed, I might consider actually downgrading this to a rural location. But as you can see, we can actually exert. Oh wait, this hasn't been updated yet. Let's give it a month. Right, as you can see, we can exert a decent bit of control even now, and this is despite not having the highest possible naval proximity. So once we get the naval proximity advances, and also after getting some more naval presence in a few of these areas, and also getting the port over here developed, we will be able to exert up to maybe 70% and later on 80% naval proximity and control in Murcia. And it's pretty well built up, so I'm going to keep it as a town for now. Hopefully we can make a profit on this. Another cool trick that you can use to find the road to India before you should be able to, and without spending a lot of cash, is you can simply go to some of the countries that have maps of the Indian Ocean. In this case, I'm building up a spy network on Ormus here, as well as Somalia over here. And you can use your spy network in the countries alongside the Indian Ocean to simply steal maps. So in this case, I'm going to steal maps of, say, the Deccan Sea. And we already have a pretty good line of sight to India. Now Somalia is going to get us maps up to around here, and then we can fabricate a spy network in Kilwa and get more maps of Eastern Africa and the remainder of the Indian Ocean coast. This also works with Societies of Pops if they've not changed it. So I'm building up, for example, a spy network in the Ovimbundu people, which live around here, I believe. And once we have a 40 spy network in this people, we will be able to steal their maps of the interior of Africa. And one of the benefits of winning the culture war is you get a flat 50% bonus to your spy network construction because you have such insane cultural influence. And we already have some other bonuses here. We've got spy networks unlocked, so essentially we can steal a new map every 2 years, give or take, and that allows you to essentially explore all of Africa, all of Asia, practically anywhere that you can think of, without spending a single ducat. It does not work for deep sea exploration usually. How you can make it work is if you have a spy network on one of the usual colonizers and they're exploring, they're colonizing, then you can use the spy network in order to get a line of sight over the areas that they're exploring and colonizing. Our truce with France will run out at the start of the next month. And I'm not sure whether we're going to attack them immediately. Let's check the mercenaries tab over here. And if we sort by this, so we'll be able to hire something in the range of 60,000 men as mercenaries if we wanted to. And all of them are going to come out of French lands. Alright, I'll definitely take that. So I'm going to hold another parliament here in Granada. And let's see, do we have anything good over here? Oh, this is nice. This gives a lot of development actually, and pushes us a bit towards naval. But you know, we definitely want to get the extra taxes and the extra levies if possible, so maybe going for a nobility backed issue might be better here. You know what? I think I'm going to go for this one and hope that we get decent issues. Support for traditional economy. Sure, I'll take that. Yikes. Okay. So if this dropped to 9%, there is no way that we're getting 2 issues through here. And do I ask for larger levies? Or do we simply ignore the levies? Let me see how many men that France has. So they have 6,000 regulars and can call on another 60,000. Why can't I? Oh, we don't have the diplomat, of course. They have annexed most of their vassals. And, oh, wow, what's that? Béarn and Bigot. Oh. So I'm guessing the coalition that France fought made them release some land over here, which is fine, I guess. But it looks like their vassals can bring in another 20,000 or so, and we're going to have a huge amount from our vassals as well. You know what? I think we can definitely win this without the additional levies from Parliament. So I'm not going to do anything here. I'll get the increased relations just in case. Do I want to change the administrators? No, we have a confederal union. We want the loyalty of subjects. Nothing changes there. Alright, so I guess if we get like a super duper good event here, maybe if we get the urban parliament seat event, we could ask for larger levies using that. But other than that, I'm going to simply get the increased development and the increased naval push here. And we're going to let the game flow for a few days. There we go. So that should end our truce with France. And if we go to June here. There we go. Oh, unfortunate. And we've annexed our final vassal over here in Portugal as well, which is lovely. So we have the diplomat. We can declare war on France. But before doing that, I'm going to gather up some mercenaries. Now, I'm not 100% sure whether 24 months will be enough for these guys, so I'll just put like 36 months. I think in the last war 36 was more than enough. And let's start with U-Lot. Do I want the artillery? Maybe. And what about you? What can you guys bring to me? So we can get a bunch of cavalrymen here, a bunch of artillery, and definitely a decent number of crossbows. And again, these are all coming out of the French population pool if you look at the places. So I'm essentially making France lose pops on both sides of the war. This feels very much like Rothschilds betting on both sides of the war, kinda war profiteering stuff. And this also probably counts as another war crime, but you know what? I'll take it. I just love committing war crimes in EU5. And again, we're going to call on these guys as well. So 2 of these armies together should be more than capable of beating the French, but I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to get 3 armies here. Can we get more? No, I guess 21 is the most I can get. So we're going to call you on Garunda. And let's gather the 3rd army here. From Orléans, we don't need the camp followers. I'm going to get these. I'm not quite sure about the hoofnesses. I think I'll just get 2 here and have the rest as crossbows and cavalrymen. And also 36 months. There we go. And I'll call for you in... Actually, Tolosa sounds nice. Because these will be our frontline troops. They will be able to, go on the offensive from day one. And they will be able to take care of certain French stacks, maybe hunt down some of the smaller vassal armies in the area, etc. So once the mercenaries are recruited, I'm going to declare war. But of course, before that, I'm going to my game options and turning off the maximized tick speed because we're getting insane speed over here. Alright, the mercenaries have all gathered up. Thankfully, we have our vassal claims on France over here. So I'm going to declare war. France doesn't have any allies. They do have a bunch of vassals. And let's go for Toulouse over here, actually, because why not? And blam, we are at war. So our initial strategy is mostly going to consist of trying to pick off their smaller vassal armies one by one. And then maybe sieging down a couple of the important forts here. I am going to raise all of our levies. And we will bring them via the land over here to Catalonia. And then they're going to enter the fray as well. And we're already getting some major victories against the French vassals. And soon enough we should also start encountering actual French troops as well instead of just vassals. But already we have decimated their armies. I think we've reduced their numbers by something like 20k so far from all the stack wipes that we've been getting. And honestly, the way that regulars, even mercenaries, just shred through levies in the current state of the game is unbelievable. Like, look at all of these immediate stack wipes we're getting, and some of them we are even getting on prisoners. So this is just massive. This is insane stuff here. Just look at that. And I'm going to send these prisoners to the backlines here. And I'm going to start maybe sieging down some of the southern forts with our levies. So let's say divide them into 4 groups and put one of these groups each on the major southern forts here. Again, we're just going to use the levies to siege forts. We're just going to use the 10-12k stacks until we've destroyed the main French stacks in the north using our regulars. And once that is done, we are going to start a more broad carpet sieging run over here. So I'm going to put our commanders in front of these. And we only have so many members of the crown estate, so let's see. You look nice. And I'm going to send one of you to Narbonne, one of you to Alais, and let's say one to Bergerac, the hometown of good old Cyrano here. Oops. And the missed. Okay, 2 are going to Bergerac. I will let the game move for a few days. There we go. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're also killing off some actual French troops here, and yikes. Alright, that should not have happened. Oh my god. Okay, the French are here. Oh, not the prisoners, no. No, the prisoners go south. Come on, come south, okay. Alright, I'm going to withdraw from this battle, or maybe not. Wow, these guys were levies. Okay. And I really like that kill-death ratio, but the regulars are coming, so we should get out of here as quickly as possible. Or you know what? Maybe not. We're going to fight this one. I'm all ears. We are going to fight this one to the end here. and our Majlis agrees, and we did suffer some losses, but the French suffered double our losses, so I'm calling that verily a victory. And let's take our folks back over here. We have another reinforcing army coming in. These are all going to meet up over here, and then we're going to pursue the French all the way to Paris. And we're getting more and more stack wipes here, including capturing large amounts of enemy regulars. The 22k levy stack here is about to hit our regulars, and they're going to get beaten so badly here. There we go. They lost almost half of their men. I'm going to send the prisoners to the backlines as usual, and I am going to keep pursuing the main French armies up north. So we'll send one stack over here to Orléans. In fact, we'll send most of our armies to Orléans, and this smaller stack, which has suffered some casualties, can hang out around Bourges. I love the bugs in this game. Don't you love the bugs in this game? So our second army here is literally in the same location. This battle is taking place in Orléans, and yet they're unable to participate in the battle. Isn't that just lovely? Oh, they're just sitting by idly while their compatriots are getting murdered. Oh my god, this is so fun. This is just adorable. Just look at that. Ah, Paradox. Oh wait, the French attacked. Wow! Look at that. We captured almost half of their regulars. Oh my god, mercenaries are just insane in the current state of the game. I literally can't believe this. This is insane. This is... I mean, this shouldn't happen. The bug should definitely not happen, but this sort of stack wipe should definitely 100% not happen, no matter how broken the game is. Well, that's another stack wipe, and the French only have something like 6,000 men remaining. And if you go to the war screen, including all of their vassals, they only have 9,500 men remaining. 2,000 are in the Duchy of Artois. So, where is Artois? I think it's in the northeast. So I think those are probably guarding their own lands instead of engaging in the battles down south. And if we can figure out a way of wiping these guys as well, that essentially means that the French will be out of men. And then they're just going to die. Alright, one of the downsides of keeping our colonies in our empire for the time being is they actually raise levies, which is absurd. How are we even getting men out of this land? Like, are there any... There are so few Andalusi here. I'm surprised you're getting any sort of levies. But now I have to take a close look. Oh, and we're getting them on the islands as well. Oh boy. Alright. So next time when I'm raising troops in a war, I will take a close look across our overseas domains. And then I'll probably, you know, put down some of the superfluous levies that we raised. Like this over here, Sao Tome. We got 10 guys who have been raised out in the middle of nowhere with no way to get them to France, where the fighting is actually taking place. And that was the last remaining French field army. So now they only have 4,000 men, and these are just random levies most likely, and they're probably defending their own homelands. So we're just going to start carpet sieging everything that we can see. And our vassals are already doing a pretty decent job of carpet sieging the south. So we will extend the line of occupation all the way to Paris at this point. Pike and shot has finally spread to enough of our country that we can embrace it. And with that, we have all of the institutions from the first 3 ages. However, since, you know, the worst of the French war is already over, I'm not going to delve too deep into the military tree for now. Now, eventually, for our next wars against France or somewhere else, we will want this advance. But for the time being, I'm quite content to focus on the colonial and the proximity advances. And after those are done, I'm probably going to pick up some economy boosts here. Well, well, well. While our valiant troops were fighting in France, our explorers were hard at work, and it seems that they have discovered an entire new world. So we have sight on most of the coast of Brazil here. The Antilles are being explored as we speak, and we are going to get 20 prestige, 5 research progress, and 1,300 gold from this discovery event, which is all for the best because our treasury is buckling under the weight of all of those mercenaries and the colonies and all of our various sundry expenses over here. So the more cash we get, the better. And I've taken a quick look at the peace screen with France, and it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get a lot of cash from them, simply because their entire country costs just so much war score here. Mostly, I believe, because of the tax base. Like, the French region is insanely rich, and France has managed to centralize a lot, annex most of their vassals, while we were busy consolidating Iberia. So it's definitely going to take us quite a few wars to dismantle France, and we could theoretically get them to... How could we get them to liberate? Yes, we could theoretically liberate some areas, and it's going to be fairly cheap. But, you know, even then, even if you're just using the liberate area goal, it's still going to cost us quite a lot. It's going to take at least like 5 or 6 wars in order to properly dismantle France using the liberate area. So probably what we're going to do is we're just going to slowly crawl our way up the French region, and in this war we will liberate Brittany and parts of Toulouse. In the next war we will liberate other provinces. In the meantime, England and Aquitaine will probably, you know, make use of the French weakness, reclaim their cores. Some of the HRE miners might try to reclaim their cores, like Savoy or the Dauphiné, etc., etc. So our goal will simply be to keep France occupied for long enough while we focus on our exploration and colonization efforts out in the west. I was specifically waiting for this siege to be over so I could return the location to my vassal Brittany, and hopefully France will be willing to return quite a lot of cores here. Let's see if I go for this. Interesting. So we still can't get quite 100 war score like this. I guess we're going to have to fiddle with the peace deal a bit, so let's maybe leave them this and this and this, and there we go. That is down to 100% war score. So we get all of Brittany, parts of Toulouse, and we can get the rest of Toulouse in the next war. And also in the next war we'll probably take maybe one location for Normandy, maybe something about Flanders, Champagne, etc. But the idea here is we're trying to get most of the larger vassals released so that we can return cores to them. And when we have all of their cores, when France is down to most of their royal domains where we can't really make them release vassals anymore, then we're going to simply start dismantling them through the liberate area war goals. And alas, we're not going to be able to take a lot of cash here, but that's alright. We will soon have more cash than we could ever use once we start the New World trade, and once the chili over here, the cocoa over here, all of the goodies over here start flowing to Europe through our markets. So I'm going to send this peace deal to France, but before then, another quick trick that you can use: if you have prisoners, you can just keep them behind the front lines where they will be safe until the end of the war. And when the war is almost over, you can ransom them, and usually you can get a decent bit of cash from them. So here, for some reason, I didn't get a lot of money, but I've sometimes seen much smaller stacks bring in much higher ransoms here. So anyways, with that being said, we are going to make peace with France. And there we go. They lost 120k. It says that we lost 25k, but most of those were actually mercenaries because our levies barely saw any combat. And what that means is those casualties actually belong to the French side over here. So we've actually killed off quite a lot of Frenchmen, a decent part of their population. And now we have this huge Brittany with all of their lands intact. We have a decently sized Toulouse, so that should have reduced the French population by, I don't know, another 1,600,000, something in that range. In any case, really good job on the French war here. Now I've already disbanded all of my levies, and there isn't anything we can do about the mercenaries, so once again, it's war crimes time. I'm going to order full retreat, and when they reach friendly territory, I'm going to keep ordering them to retreat so that we deplete the pops in the French region. And yes, this is probably breaking the Geneva Convention before it even exists, but what can I say? It's making my enemies lose pops, while at the same time reducing the amount that I have to pay for mercenary expenses. And the war lasted a bit over, or maybe a bit under, 2 years. So in the next war, I'm definitely going to hire fewer mercenaries. So I'll probably hire 2 stacks, and I'm going to hire them for 24 months instead of 36 here. And for the next 8 years, it should be. Let me check. Yes, for the next 8 years, we are going to focus on exploring the New World. I'm going to put all of my resources into exploring the American coast over here, and we will start our first colonies in the Caribbean. Alright, just look at that. Every time I order a full retreat, 1,000 Frenchmen die. Just look at that. This is going to go from 600 to 5,400. And now down to 4,900. And now it's going to go down to 4,300 and so on. So I can just keep spamming this button. And every time I click it, France loses population. And I get out of having to pay mercenary expenses. And this is just ridiculous. You can literally pay money to make your enemies lose population using mercenaries. And I think you will even be able to depopulate large areas of your enemy countries simply by paying a ridiculously small amount, a negligible amount, in mercenary hiring premiums, because the order full retreat button seems to be pretty bugged right now. As in, you can just order them to do the full retreat without having to wait them to actually retreat. So you can keep spamming it. And there we go. We started with like 18,000 mercenaries here, I think. Now there are fewer than 1,000. So I've just, in the span of a single month, I've made France lose something like 15 to 20,000 population. And this is going to reduce my own mercenary maintenance as well. And since mercenaries are just so cheap to hire, especially once you have access to more than a few advances, this means that you can just instantly depopulate enemy countries simply by paying a small amount, a symbolic amount, in mercenary hiring fees. Once you have the higher mercenary premium cost up to, say, 60-80%, which you can definitely do if you pick the right advances in the first 2-3 ages. And then hiring mercenaries becomes an insta decimation button. It becomes an I'm going to commit war crimes button, essentially. Just look at that. The French population has dropped below 7 million. We have 700k in Brittany, another 300k in Toulouse. So we stole 1 million pops from them through return cores. And we've eliminated 1,500, so 150,000 Frenchmen we've eliminated simply by killing off our own mercenary. And this is just ridiculous. Paradox really has to balance it. So I'm going to take a look to see if we have any complacency here. Nope, because our diplomatic spending is at maximum. But the lack of threatening rivals is a slight issue. So who are our enemies? We've got Aquitaine, Morocco, and Mali. You know what? Morocco, you asked for it. And I think we have Aquitaine as a rival already, so that's all good. And we're just going to wait until we have set foot in the new world now. So I've done something. I've literally started preparing expeditions to everywhere. And we're going to be getting like 20 expeditions going on at the same time. And we can afford it. We have enough gold to cover the expenses. Ideally, I would like to keep a slightly larger war chest, so something like 5k, in case that we get another crusade called on us. And in any case, in 8 years, we will have to hit France again to prevent them from growing in strength. So for now, 5k should be more than enough, but everything else that we have, every single ducat that flows into our coffers, I'm going to put into exploring the new world, because our goal here in this game is to monopolize the Americas. I want to basically colonize all the colonizable lands in the Americas, and that's going to be the goal of this game. And I'd say that we're in pretty decent shape to accomplish that right now. So we will see how well we succeed in our endeavors. So right now we have exploration missions either ongoing or queued and set to begin on every single area that we can explore in the Atlantic. Now I'm not doing any exploration at all in the Indian Ocean, because that's what the spy networks are for. But as you can see, we don't have any possible explorations that we can do in the Atlantic. And we have expeditions going to every single province in coastal Brazil. We have expeditions going to the North Atlantic area, including even Eastern Greenland Sea. We have expeditions to the Caribbean going on, and even we have an expedition down here in Tristan da Cunha. So once all of these are complete, and let's look at that, they're costing us 135 ducats per month. This is going to go up to 200. We have like half a dozen more expeditions queued up already. And as soon as these are done, we will have sight over the new world, and we're going to go crazy colonizing it. And also we will get, in fact, I might get another colonial charter here. And Malian colony of Enzima. Oh my god. Alright, I have to beat Mali to here. We already have a colony here. I'm going to let them get this location here. And I'm going to create a colonial charter here as well. So essentially we are in an unexpected colonial race with Mali, of all people. Who would have guessed? But some of our colonies, especially this charter over here, should be done pretty quickly. And once we're done with those, we can move up the coast. We can essentially try and, block Mali from going any further east. And does Benin have colonial charters here? Oh yes, they do. Benin is also colonizing, which is kind of interesting. Supposedly colonization should be very slow and painful and also extremely costly if you don't have the right ideas for it, but that's not the case. Like, there should at least be some colonization nerfs to West Africa, to some of the indigenous states around here. I mean, we shouldn't be seeing Mali colonize all of the African coast up to Morocco. And that seems to be the case in most games here, which is highly ahistorical and also doesn't make for good gameplay, I think, because, you know, it kinda prevents them from splitting up. Like, even if Mali falls to decadence, I don't think they lose most of the coast over here, and that's going to create some interesting, very and ugly border gore around in these regions, obviously. I'm going to create a new market over here in West Africa, and the reason is, well, it's kind of clear, it's kind of obvious. So the Niani market is inland, and by the time that the market propagates all the way to the coast, the market access drops to unsustainable levels. Like, we're seeing downwards of 14% market access here. And similarly, the market in Bego is unable to reach this area effectively. So there's a potential profit to be made in building up a market here. And this is exacerbated by the fact that we have really good trade goods here. Like, we have insane amounts of saffron. Over here in the coast we have some pearls. Over here we have a lot of gems, again more saffron. And we can also trade with the inland markets, especially Niani, for gold, iron, sugar. Wait, that's actually rice. Ivory. But in any case, what I'm thinking about is we will set up a market here, and we will get some marketplaces and that sort of buildings. And I'm probably going to release a colonial nation which will hold the territories outside of the market zone itself. And they will also give me more of their trade. And then I'm going to gather up all the wealth of West Africa in this coastal market and simply ship it over to Ishbilia. So that is exactly what we're going to do now. And let's see. We do need... Okay, all of these have 10,000 pop. If we build it in San Pedro, actually, it's almost at 30,000 population. And you know, this charter in general has a decent bit of population. It's pretty well suited to urbanizing. At the same time, we don't necessarily need all of that population. Like, we could simply build a town, and the town is usually more than enough to get all of the marketplaces and stuff that you need. You know what? I'll wait for this, and once this is done, we're going to set up the market center here, and we will release all of the rest of this area as a colonial nation. Actually, scratch that. This has okay market access. So normally when you want to create a new market center, it has to be either in an urban location or it has to have below 25% market access. And the lower the market access, the cheaper, I believe, that creating the new market becomes. So how can I see how much it will cost? Oops. One sec over here. Ah. Wow, why does it cost so much? It should cost less than that, actually. Well, anyways, I guess we're doing this. There we go. And in 2 years, I believe, there's going to be a new market here. We will hold this land ourselves, and we will parcel out the rest to a colonial nation. And we've unlocked the colonial policy law here. Now, trade colonies has a lot going for it. The foreign buildings cost, if you're mass building trade offices, can be a pretty massive economic boost. And the colonial range is sometimes useful. But in this scenario, I think we're going with settled colonies because we actually want to settle all of the Americas and large parts of Africa. So this is not going to be a oh, let's trade with Europe run. This is going to be a full-on colonizing the entire New World run. And for that, I'm going to go ahead with settled colonies here. Our heir is now 16 years old. He has middling stats, but 50 diplomacy should cut it for the time being. So I'm going to marry him off if I can. Let's see if we have anyone who's young. There we go, 16 years old. And there's another 17 years old and a couple 19-year-olds. So he's going to start creating a bunch of children over here in order to replace the members of the crown estate, which will, I believe, drop off from the crown estate and become nobility as soon as our sultan here dies, and he's going to die pretty soon. Our market has been founded, and I'm actually going to urbanize this area as well. We will get all of the important marketplace buildings and start creating some more potential for burghers to exist in this location. We will also have to settle down all of these tribesmen over here, but I guess they're going to settle on their own over time. And we will release, once the colonial charters are done, we will release the rest of the coast as a colonial nation. So we have our first land maps of the Americas, and would you like to take a guess as to where it is? Maybe you think it's in North America, but no. Caribbean, no. It's not in Colombia, and it's not the coast of Brazil. It is the Pampas. We have quite literally discovered Argentina before we discovered Brazil or the Caribbean or any of the other like fancy locations in the Americas. And I'm not sure whether we can colonize this. I don't think we can even colonize this. We can colonize like the very northern section. But other than that, this is just silly. And we can't even explore the seas over here either. This is just... Well, I guess we have sighted land though. And I suppose this is as good a time as any to end the episode on a high note of discovering Argentina. So thank you all for watching. In this episode, we went to quite a lot of trouble simply to free Brittany from the French yoke. And we have, for once, discovered the Americas after a long and perilous journey of 120 years. In the next episode, we're going to continue our exploration of the Americas. And I'm willing to bet that we can discover all of the American coast. From up here in Canada to down here in the Straits of Magellan in, shall we say 20 years? Yeah, 20 years sounds nice. And we're still going to beat Columbus to the punch by more than a decade if we manage to do that. So again, thanks for watching. Our Granada series will continue, and I would really appreciate it if you were to subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I pinky promise I will not ask you to subscribe or like or comment or any of that other regular YouTuber stuff once I hit 1,000 subs. And with that being said, I will see you once again in the war room.